I was raised to be independent, but my body failed. So here's some ways to be able to handle the shame and to help your partner to help share that load with you. Oh, I was raised a military brat. So both of my parents were in the service. And very easily, my parents, particularly my mom, was like, make your own money, get your education, make sure that you're not overly reliant on anybody. You have to make sure that you're good. You have to make sure that you take care of yourself. And this is coming from a woman who she got her bachelor's degree at a time where not a lot of women were getting bachelor's degree. My mom got her bachelor's degree, the first in her family, actually, as far as I know. I believe she's the first in her family. And she signed up for the military and she left in the army. So that's if you're taking a look at in terms of my family tree, that's part of my background. My father grew up in poverty. He grew up literally not having food when he would go home. So he would have to get canned goods and hide them and bury them so that when he got home from school, he would have food. So so if you're taking a look at just my family tree, where I come from, my background, um, again, my biological father, he was the person that he was a track star, he was a runner, and I get why he ran. I get why he ran. And when I take a look at his choice to join the army and be able to move on in life and find a way to make it, my parents were people who wanted better for themselves and wanted to be able to make their own money, make their own lives, do their own thing. Um, my parents did not stay together. So they did get a divorce, and my mom remarried. And when she remarried, the man that she remarried, my stepdad, who I call dad, he was in the Marine Corps. So, like, literally, for me as a child, I could not escape this narrative of take care of your own business, make your own money, don't get pregnant, you know, like you have to be independent. You have to be, as I heard growing up a lot, be combat ready. Be combat ready. And so I always was in a position where I was like, okay, how do you be over prepared? How do you make sure you have the thing? Because the cortisol from the previous generations was like running through my veins. My nervous system was primed, not only with stories, but just biologically primed for survival. So when I say that I'm independent or was super independent before being diagnosed with autoimmune disorder, I mean I was independent. So I had to do a lot of work in my marriage, a lot of work beforehand when we first got married, and even to this day, in terms of us being able to figure out things. I remember the first time that I had to go back to the hospital. And I'm one that I delivered both of my kids naturally. First time I was in the hospital, stayed 2 days. They told me I could stay three. I was like, absolutely not. Second time I was in the hospital, they're like, okay, we have people in the hospital 2 days. I was like, absolutely not. Can I stay one? So as much as I can make sure that I was in control of how long I had to stay away from home, being in the hospital, what I packed, what I took with me, as much as I could do that, I was definitely doing the thing. And so situations were coming up. We're still very early in trying to figure out what was going on in my body. That my husband was like, well, do you want me to pack you a bag? Everything in my nervous system picked up all of the things that I've been taught and been raised, but all of it came up subconsciously for me. I could not put it into words. I just remember just sighing, which I can't help but do even now. He said, I'll get everything. I'll get everything that you want. You just tell me what you need and I'll pack it for you. And so I get my husband having to pack the bag the very first time that I went into the hospital. I didn't have a choice. I literally didn't know I was going to the hospital. Like it just that's just what was happening. And I had to give him the information that time. The second time I just wasn't feeling well. He's like, I can pack it for you, which I really appreciate that for him. I so appreciate that. I'm extremely thankful to have a partner who is willing to see me, see the gaps where I can't always fully show up as me, especially as a Black woman. It is not easy to say it or see it. To provide a little bit more context, I am the packer of the family. I'm not just a packer, I am the overpacker for everything and anything. So to relinquish that power, to relinquish that responsibility and give it to my husband was super hard. So first, the thing that I had to do, number one, was just take a couple breaths. I was like, okay. My poor husband, he was not raised to be combat ready. His nervous system was not raised to operate that high in cortisol levels. Mine was. So I knew first off, and this is going to sound probably very rude, and I don't mean it to be, I really don't. But I knew first off, okay, I'm going to give him a list. I'm going to tell him what I want done. He's not going to do it the way that I want it done. And that's not to say that I'm better or I'm good or what have you. Now, there's some truth to the fact that I do have better packing skills than my husband because I've done it my whole life and I've done it our whole marriage. So there's some truth in terms of skill set, but there's also some piece just in terms of he's not going to be as neurotic as you are. Can I say that? He's not going to be as neurotic as you are, Virginia. He's just not. He's going to do his best. He cares about you. He loves you. Be grateful for whatever you get. So part of being an independent woman, let me add a little bit more on that, being an independent Black woman. Let me add some more layers on that. Being an independent Black woman, military brat, I had to take a breath. I had to acknowledge some limitations. I had to acknowledge that my story is getting kicked up here. My identity is getting kicked up here. Who I am, how I show up in the world. It was not fun. And the only way that I could do that was by catching myself, slowing myself down, talking myself off of a ledge in the sense that I needed to let go of this perfectionistic image of what my bag was going to look like. I needed to let go of the image of being overpacked and overprepared. I needed to shift from the task at hand being more important and realizing that this man that I love and this man who has been there for me thick and thin, he is here. He wants to help me. It's not going to be the way I want it. So I need to shift from a task oriented perspective to a people oriented perspective. It's not about the task right now. It's about my husband showing up for me. And so he called me, and every time I saw his name on the caller ID, I had to take another breath because I'm getting hooked up to all these different monitors and things, and I'm like, I can't find the thing that I want, and I know it's right there, and I gave him perfect instructions, and I know it's there. I need to let it go because it's not about the task. It's about the people. It's about our relationship. It's about his care for me. I had to take another breath, and I would answer the phone. I can't find the thing. I'm laughing now, but I was not laughing then. I can't find the thing. So I have to make a choice between either explaining again or saying, don't worry about it. Sometimes I would explain again. Other times I would just say, okay, just don't worry about it. Just don't worry about it. Just don't worry. And my hope was I'm only going to be in this hospital for maybe a couple of days and then I'll be able to go home. And then I can get back to things the way that I want to. That I think is another way to help you break some of the shame of it. Besides taking a look at like, okay, this is not a task thing that I need to be focused on. This is a people thing. The other, and taking that deep breath, the other thing that I think is really helpful to do is to be able to start to look at responsibility. If I'm in a hospital, it is my responsibility to try to be as aware as possible as to what's going on, try to take good notes, try to be able to communicate with the providers that I'm seeing, letting them know my symptoms, and resting. That's my responsibility at that point. My responsibility is not packing the perfect bag or my kids having the perfect lunch or the perfect dinner or there being not any squabbles or what have you and everything running smoothly at home with my husband single dadding it, but also trying to go back and forth between the hospital, taking care of the household, and then also taking care of me. I had to shift my responsibilities. I also had to shift my husband's responsibilities in my head. Again, in my head. This is just a me thing, okay? Completely a me thing. I had to let go of the responsibility that essentially my husband, my husband cannot show up in the way that he normally shows up at home because he's doing double duty. And not only is he doing double duty, he's doing double duty and taking the of both parents and taking the role of a caregiver by trying to make sure that I have the things that I need, by trying to make sure he's emotionally available and supportive of me and supportive of our poor little dog. That's a lot. That's a lot of added stress. I need to give a little bit more grace. Not only for myself, but especially for my husband, for my family. So it was a moment where, again, I had to take another breath. And even as I'm talking about this, I can hear kind of like my anxiety, just even mentioning it, it's like up here. And I can start feeling things slow down as I'm like talking through some of these truths. I had to take a really good, honest look at myself and my situation. And I had to realize I needed to be more compassionate, not only for myself and for my body and the limitations that I had. I need to be more compassionate to my husband, who was taking on a whole lot more roles, like just very abruptly. So anytime something would happen, got my bag, I got most of the things, I didn't get all the things. Take another breath, start finding spots where I can give my body a little bit of compassion. Start finding spots where I can give my husband a little bit more compassion. Start finding some other spots where I can help give my kids some more compassion and hopefully helping to model that. I'm not saying this process is easy, and I'm not saying that this process is not without a lot of bumps. It is still a learning curve that I am working on. But these are some truths that I am trying to hold on to. With that being said, my family just came back for a walk. I can hear them coming in. And I just appreciate this time that you've taken with me. My name is Virginia. I'm a licensed mental health therapist, and I hope you take good care of yourself and others. Hope to see you next time.